Welcome back to Rochester Living with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Elysian Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates. This is episode 195, and we've had quite a run, Mark, on guests from businesses that are family-owned, family-founded, and continuing that with a third generation,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Family business.
Yep.
We have the president of Gallina Development Corp, Andy Gallina. Andy, welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here on a bright, sunny day in Rochester.
I know, right?
Love
This
it.
is what? Is this 17th spring? What are we experiencing right now?
Perfect. I don't know, up, down, but we're good.
When is winter again?
Yeah.
Do we have any winters left? I think we're out, right?
It's shocking that in 8 days, it's the start of Memorial. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had 30-some degree temperatures as of 2 weeks ago. It's insane what's playing out, but hopefully.
We talk a lot about how we bring in the most people from outside of the area to the Rochester area. And boy, are some of my clients mad at me because I've been telling them for the past 5 years, winters are so mild. It's been so fun. And then this one, we just get crushed. Sorry, guys. It
wasn't even a lot of snow. It's just this lingering
Right.
malaise
Gray,
of
cold.
gray.
But we're past that.
Pissed.
Lilac Festival's happening right now. We're in the midst of it. So
Terrific. Fire up your grill.
I'm fascinated to hear Andy's take on a lot of different things when it comes to Rochester. But want to jump into real estate first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get the market update here. Numbers still go up. They're still going up.
Well, are the numbers going up, or is there just more property lingering?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Okay,
Right
all right.
now in Monroe County, there are 467 single-family active listings. That's up from 435 last week. Again, as you alluded to, there's definitely things that are sitting longer than they have for
Right.
the past few months. Six-county region, we're at 806. That's up from 758. Under contract and pending, Monroe County is at 1106. That's up from 1044 last week. And then the six-county region's at 1597. That's up from 1507 last week.
Okay. And
It's spotty. It's weird. It's wonky, right? I mean, properties that are in great condition, in desirable areas, that are on point, buttoned up, still going crazy.
right.
If there's, not literally, but if there's cracks in the foundation of a property, it needs, this, and this, it seems like buyers are getting pickier.
Buyers are much, much pickier than they've been. There are properties, we've got in our portfolio a few properties that have lingered now for the past 2 or 3 weeks. But as we've said to a few of our clients, we need to make sure that their property is, as we've said, 4 walls and a roof, terrific. Prior to, what was April 9th called? Not Independence Day, whatever,
Who knows?
whatever
Who
the hell he
cares?
called it. Prior to that, 4 walls and a roof, you were doing great. After the imposition of these tariffs, it's definitely a different story. And so people need to be ready. So,
See, the other thing, if I can jump in here.
Of course,
this
please
is
do.
really not my conversation,
No, go.
but I have a background in residential and stuff. And I was a residential broker in my younger years. And we inspected property. We had an obligation to our buyers and sellers to make sure the property is in pretty good shape. No surprises. This whole trend without inspections and no contingencies and all that, I've heard actually firsthand from individuals 3 or 4 horror stories.
Really? Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Well, we've heard attorneys say the same thing, yeah.
It's just one young friend, one of the bathrooms was not properly plumbed. They move in and there's water going down in the living room.
Yeah.
Like, who's checking this house? When we go to that way and we diminish this inspection component, it just, it pushes, some of these guys just flip,
Yeah,
without really improving to a point. And as I say, that's just a commentary. I wish we kind of get a little back to where
I'm going to jump in and I'm going to say that we're really that hasn't happened with us. But what we're doing is something comes live on a Thursday, we're making our clients aware immediately. We're walking them through on Friday. If on Friday they like the property, we're getting an engineer through on Saturday or Sunday.
get someone immediately, pay for it.
Yes, immediately, so that you can write an offer on Monday, free and clear of any encumbrance having to do with an inspection.
And Mark, that's brilliant because, and I've heard of that a lot. That's
yeah,
some of the more conscious brokers responsible are
yes.
doing that because I have two. One's a lawsuit, one's another. They want to sue, they can't. It doesn't make sense financially. You just keep throwing money.
And if you're a
fix
first-time
it.
buyer, you don't have
You're
the
a
money.
first-time buyer. You
sure.
don't know.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, and
And that's why my strategy is always, I'm almost trying to talk my clients out of buying the house because I'm pointing out every little thing that I see just because we don't want surprises.
eyes wide open.
Yeah.
You got to understand, in this environment, there's no contingencies. You sign, all cash, that's it.
Yeah, you're closed.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. It is difficult, and increasingly, first-time home buyers aren't having the kind of quality to choose from in the way that they could in the past because
that's a
they're
big component.
desperate to just get their foot in the door and begin building a legacy based on the equity that
Equity,
is,
et cetera, what home ownership leads to. So
Yes.
I agree with that 100%. Without a healthy inventory, you're making those compromises. You're jumping in and you're fighting and you're hitting the escalation clause and I'll give you 30 more, and trying to get in.
Yep.
So you can participate in the economy.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because there's other states that have this due diligence period where an inspection's part of the law. They have to have it done before the house can actually close. And for whatever
Did you
reason,
say in other states that don't have the kind of power the real estate industry has in the state of New York? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I think that's what I said.
Okay.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Oh, let me just throw that in. Okay.
Little caveat.
It's okay.
Slight caveat.
But I didn't want to get off track.
No.
But
It's right on point.
I've
It's
talked
tough.
about
It's-
this to a lot of folks, and just be cautious.
It's a battle out there. It's
Yeah.
definitely a battle
Yeah.
for sure. Economy update. Do you want to talk about CPI?
Why don't we? What are we doing with interest rates? Tell us a little bit about
I want to
interest rates
talk
and
about
then
CPI
dovetail.
first.
Well,
'Cause
okay.
I want you to explain why they're not going down.
Okay, so CPI came in surprisingly low. CPI came in at 2.3. Thank you, 2.3. It was down a tenth of a percentage point, which is great.
Since February of 2021.
Surprised me.
Yeah. Very surprising. It took everybody surprised. It was pleasant, and so economics 101 is going to tell us that okay, great. We are even closer to the Federal Reserve's target rate of 2.0%. We're just a smidge above.
Yep.
But we're not quite there. And
But
so
the rug is
why?
being pulled out from under us.
Not sustainable, though.
So the question is, interest rates are supposed to go down as a result of the CPI.
I mean,
falling.
based off 3 years of podcasting, that's what's supposed to happen.
Unless you're a bond vigilante and you're looking at what is going to be playing out in the economy in the future, and everybody knows that 30 days from now, the imposition of tariffs and the trade war, even though we came to some detent with China this past weekend, it's still.
It's not settled.
It is not settled, and we still have higher tariffs, and everybody knows that the rate of inflation is going to start to tick up starting next month. I mean, it's happening right now. It's just not. It hasn't been recorded.
Sure.
So why didn't they go down this past week? Because that's rear view mirror thinking. The Treasury market, they're thinking about what is to come, and that's the reason why it is that interest rates are.
6.99.
Yep. I'm glad to report.
Not 7.
No, I'm glad to report that within the past 35 minutes they've dropped.
Oh, really? Oh.
6.96.
Ooh, look at that. Spicy. Lock in now.
So, this is
Yeah.
this is just and again, part of the conversation, Andy, and I'm sure you would. Anybody who still has their real estate license and is still trying to make a go of it, you deserve a medal. I mean, you really do because. There's just no product out there, and
tough, yeah.
everything. I mean, over the course of the past couple of years, is conspiring against real estate agents and, in particular, the buyers. It's ugly. It's nasty. So I don't see this changing anytime. I think the other reason that we've seen an increase in the 30-year mortgage over the course of the past week is what happened with the FOMC last week. The Federal Open Markets Committee met. Jerome Powell came out last Wednesday and said we're not lowering rates anytime in the near future.
Yep.
We're just going to sit. We're gonna watch and we're gonna wait to see what happens, which is obviously the right move. But again,
Sure.
the 10-year Treasury, the yield on the 10-year Treasury rose on that news, and that was just to come. So there you have it.
Rochester real estate in the news. Just a couple quick things to get to before we chat with Andy. Monroe County has emerged as a top real estate hotspot. Shocking, I know. Let's see. This is the hotness ranking for March. We actually came in 5th for this one.
Is this
It's New York Post.
Oh, New York Post. Okay, got it. Is this based on the Zillow metric, the heat index?
I don't know. There's so many.
Okay, all right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Again, based on other spots in the country where I guess still hot, even though it's wonky.
Yeah, right. I mean, in short, it just reiterates and reaffirms what it is we've heard over and over and over again. It's great if you're a seller, great if you're a homeowner. Terrible.
And then this
if
is
you're a
interesting. This
buyer.
is from the AP. They dropped a story about Rochester as an emerging spot for people who are climate conscious to relocate to, which again we've been talking about for several years at this point. But again, people are over wildfires and hurricanes and droughts, and obviously here we don't really have that. We have gray and snow, which I guess comparatively isn't so bad.
Well, 20 years from now it'll be it'll be blue skies and sunny. It'll be 88 degrees in the middle of February. Yeah, exactly.
And then they also stated the fact that Rochester has some progressive policies, including climate initiatives to cut carbon emissions by 40% by 2030.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. I mean, God, how long ago was it that I wrote that blog post about it's coming? All these folks who are escaping tornadoes in the Midwest, wildfires out in California, droughts in the South, and then hurricanes in the state of Florida. It's going to happen. I mean, you remember. Was it Tom Fry, I think, years ago? You used to tout the fact that we've got all this fresh water and that this is a place that people will eventually begin to migrate to. I do think that he was correct. He was just,
Well, part of the reason for that is try to get insurance. I know some folks in
Sure.
Florida.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a tiny exodus. We can say an exodus, but we have some friends there that play pickleball. And other pickleball people are gone. Canadians, they're moving, I can't get insurance. Why am I doing this after a while? I'll wait for the next hurricane. And they've relocated, maybe up the coast a little bit more, maybe not as severe weather. But, part of it is hitting them in their pocketbook.
yeah.
Sure.
And
If you think about it, right? People left New York to escape property taxes, and now you're in Florida and you're getting hit with the insurance stuff.
Right,
and
right. Yeah.
There's other
the same.
components.
Yeah, that's what you're conveying anecdotally is bearing out in the reports that we're reading, which is people are moving to specifically South Carolina, North Carolina, and Atlanta.
We just chatted with a couple, yesterday that are going to be listing their house, hopefully with us.
Oh,
that
that's right.
Are
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
to North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They watched the podcast too. So thank you, David and Nancy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and it is interesting. Like we're hearing fewer. That's really an interesting point. We're hearing fewer and fewer people saying, "I'm moving to the state of Florida." We are hearing more and more. I'm
Carolinas,
moving
yeah.
to, and I should actually go and travel to North Carolina and to South Carolina because in my mind,
It's hilarious.
I cannot differentiate. Like I have no idea what plays out in North Carolina. I mean,
So we're sitting at the table. We're chatting to these sellers about their plans, and they're describing where they're going to go. And Mark's just, and in the back of my head, I'm thinking, you've been everywhere, like in the globe, everywhere. Buddy, haven't made it to Wilmington, Delaware, or North Carolina.
yeah, I'm like,
Same deal, yeah. You've been on
do you know the
you've
difference
been on
between the two?
19 safaris, but you haven't
Yeah,
been.
but I haven't been to Wilmington.
Yeah.
some of
But
the-
have you yourself?
No, I want to go to Savannah. Why haven't I been to Savannah? I
It's
don't know.
lovely.
It's great.
I've been to Savannah, and Savannah is
I gotta go,
it's
right?
so beautiful. Yes,
Yeah.
you should definitely go. Yeah,
So
it's
there's places like that.
yeah,
we
beautiful,
should.
beautiful.
Outer Banks, you guys would love it.
Actually, I'm going to do this really quickly.
Okay.
Oh God, Duffy, my partner, was Secretary of Education, and we're invited to some wedding. Somebody who's working on the second floor down in Albany, and all of a sudden we're shacking up in some house that belonged to, I'm going to forget all this. Who was the Secretary of Defense under Clinton? We're at his house in the Outer Banks, and there's and so it's Silda Spitzer, Elliot's wife. It's one of the heiresses of the Salzburger fortune, the New York Times.
Yep.
And then it's this, and then Duffy and I, and like this house. There was one wing you couldn't go into because it was like their private residence. Like the rest was like open.
Locked off.
Yeah.
I had an elevator to my bedroom.
That's wild.
That's how insane this house was. I'll think of the name and then I'll tell you. Anyway, all right, let's move on to something more important.
Andy.
Andy.
You go. You do the nice, lovely intros. Come on.
All
Gosh,
right.
this is where he gushes. Don't get embarrassed.
That is so true because one of the privileges of having this podcast is I get to invite on over and over and over again. We get to invite on over and heroes, and Andy is a hero because you are the one guy who I can point to who has invested millions in downtown Rochester, and you're the best thing happening in the city of Rochester, specifically as it relates to downtown Rochester. The buildings that you own, buildings that would literally be it would be like a scene out of The Last of Us. You know, buildings just collapsing in on themselves. And instead, you've taken these buildings and you created viability and beautiful, beautiful structures and beautiful apartments. It's a company that I think was founded by your dad. You've taken it over. Your kids are now involved, and I would imagine that you've got 3 granddaughters, and one of them will take over the company. So thank you so much for being here, Andy, and thank you so much for everything you're doing for this community.
Thank you.
It's
We're
remarkable.
applying for WBE status now for the
Oh, is
kids.
that right?
No,
Oh,
no,
that's awesome.
3 granddaughters. That's the future. But anyways, thank you for having me. I do appreciate that. You're so kind in your words. But part of that comes out of a commitment to our city and an understanding of what needs to happen to move the needle. And that's what we're trying to do. We're simply trying to move the needle. You know, we can talk about opportunity, and we all in business take advantage of opportunities. So over 10 years ago, we thought we stepped into an opportunity with our first purchase downtown of 1 East Avenue.
Which was the old Bank of America
Bank
building.
of
Yeah.
America, Fleet Bank, it was a whole security trust, a whole history, and Bank of America was the last banking tenant.
And just, I'm going to just occasionally, because I know these buildings, and everybody
Yeah.
listening might not. So that's the building when you get to East Avenue where it intersects or meets Main Street.
Right across from Liberty Pole.
Yes, right.
One of the things you may have seen is the 11th floor is the penthouse. It's an event space, so we host, through Max Gordon, who runs it, a host of different types of events, from weddings, showers, political events, corporate events. And on top of the building, there's an outside deck, so you get an opportunity to really see the whole city.
And how pretty
especially
it
on
is. Like
Parcel
it
5.
really is such a pretty city.
Yeah, it really is.
There's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we started there, and then we saw an opportunity at the Chase Tower, and we jumped in there and renamed it the Metropolitan. We decided that that building could only survive if we did some conversions. You know, knowing the market, knowing the office market, even back then when it was still relatively healthy, we knew we just couldn't take hundreds of thousands of feet of office space and fill it up again. The bank was still occupying. They kept paring down. When we bought the building, the bank was in 7 floors. They're down to 1 floor in the branch right now. It's not a knock on them. It's just the reality. All of our tenants are cutting back. But we've been able to flip, and we've got 15 floors of market rate apartments in there.
And they're beautiful. I've toured them with clients.
You've
Like,
been
phenomenal.
up there.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I mean, it's
we're pretty proud. The whole team is pretty proud. That
should
wasn't
be.
just me. That was the kids and the design team, and you know, and where do we go from here? Let's make it let's upgrade. No, we got to do a little better. Let's improve the tile. Let's make the bathrooms bigger. Let's do, there's a lot of conversation, and every unit in the place is unique because of the angled fins.
Yes.
We have angled walls. If you notice, Corey, you walk in and everything's kind of angled.
Yep.
To take advantage of the angled fins so you get a full view of the window. So, so we did that and got into that pretty heavy, and then we bought the Seneca building, which is Windstream and Gannett. Those are 2 great companies, but they are severely downsizing. They want to get rid of that space as well, and we're working to get replacement tenants there. And then, of course, the next step was Innovation Square. Now, that was an opportunity that
Innovation Square being the old Xerox building.
Xerox
Yeah.
building. And when we bought the building, there was really only 1 commercial tenant in it. And once again, we were rethinking about, before we bought it, what do we do? How do we do that? And we also recognized that we can't just do the same old, same old. So it required some sort of residential component. And I think my son Evan was the first one that said, hey, why don't we talk about student housing? Why don't we get some people involved? And this is pre-COVID, by the way, so remember. And we've got, we get all the college presidents in a room. Sarah Megelsdorf was new to U of R. Jerry from Fisher, Don Braveman from Nazareth, who is now gone, and Beth Paul isn't, so she was part of that conversation. And then, of course, Dave Munson from RIT. And then later on, we added Heidi McPherson from Brockport into the conversation. And before we hit COVID, everybody was very, very excited about the project for two reasons. Number one, it would be a collaborative campus. And you think about bringing kids from different schools, different disciplines, and how they would interact with each other. And
Well, with the city too, right? I mean,
and in the city, you know, you're maybe not old enough, you're old enough. We've talked about brain drain for decades.
Decades. Yeah.
Decades. We educate and the kids go.
Yep.
Well, how do we integrate students downtown and get them linked up with downtown innovation companies, architects, the engineers, ad firms, other folks, Dado, high-tech type of firms that they could intern with and get ingrained in the community and hopefully stay. So that was one of the components.
Right, because they go to the campuses, right? And you're pretty much isolated in the campus that you're in, and you're not exploring what's around you.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly. So you don't even know what's out there.
And we don't.
So what happens?
So what happens is COVID hits, and all of a sudden all those commitments went by the wayside. So we had a very tough conversation with our team and said, now what? We're under contract. Do we proceed? Do we pull the plug? Do we walk away? And we all around the table said, it's too important. We can do this.
That's beautiful.
We can do this. And I'll tell you, it was very, very difficult because let's just fast forward. We did the construction. We started 5 floors, then 5 floors, and 5 floors. And fortunately, there was enough demand, primarily at the University of Rochester, fill up the 5 floors. Then we did the next 5 floors and filled that up. And so currently, we have about 400 students living there.
Insane.
Mostly U of R students. When before it was mostly RIT and some of the other students, and it flipped, and we have a high percentage of international students, which we're a bit concerned about right now, but it seems to be holding right now. We're not sure what's going to happen in the next couple months because, you know, any day there could be something that would destroy that market, but we're holding, keeping our fingers
Real
crossed.
estate isn't, and I really mean this. I mean, I know that real estate is probably a mystery to most people who are listening or watching. But real estate, at least from I'm sure from your perspective, from my perspective, yours, it's really not supposed to be this high wire balancing act. But every few years, you're getting your teeth kicked in, but you get up, and it is so impressive that you get up and you're like, okay, great, let's go round 2, and you end up victorious each and every time. I mean, if I'm putting money, I'm betting on you, bud. I mean, seriously.
Well, part of it is you have to look further, and I don't want to talk about the term visionary or vision, but it is taking a long view of what do you think is going to work. And if you look at some of the failures of some of the commercial buildings downtown, and I don't have to go through, you know, a bunch of them up and down Main Street, it's because they didn't keep reinvesting and reinventing themselves.
Yep.
And if you don't do that, that's where you lose the appetite for tenants to come in.
Well,
you know, you show tenants and they want, you got to give them a compelling reason to bring your office here, bring your employees here. At Innovation Square, we have a YMCA on site. We have an auditorium on site, 718 seats in the auditorium. We have now a vibrant ecosystem for office tenants along with the 15 floors of students. We have 2 floors of co-work space that very, very difficult. We're the franchisee. We bought it. We did it because we felt that concept would be very, very important downtown. It's coming along, but it's hard. It's hard work, Mark.
It really is, but you're continually innovating. I think Sibley's, Ken does a great job down at the old Sibley's building for the reasons you've just laid out. You can't, it's the integration of, it's the ideation of all these really interesting outside of the box ideas. And then just trying to make sure that your tenants have not just a bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchen, but then they walk out the door and they've got things that a YMCA, a place to work out, et cetera. Is the Y available to? I would imagine it's available to all of your tenants. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay.
They've negotiated discounts for our commercial tenants, and the students can get discounts for certain programs, but they have 24/7 access to the
That's
gym.
great, yeah.
They can go run on a treadmill at 2 in the morning. They
That's
can
awesome.
fob in, everything's secure, fobbed in, and the Y, that's our relationship with the Y, that we allow the students to do that. So we control that, and the membership is growing. I think it's pretty robust these days, and we're just excited about that component.
So Andy, where is this headed? Where, I mean, what I mean by it is, where's downtown Rochester headed? What is
Well,
going to go on down there?
The challenge we have, guys, and this is not surprising, I think I would ask you to take a really very slow ride up and down Main Street. And that's our problem. That Main Street corridor is really, really a problem. And we're trying to do that. And that's where we come into leadership and support. And I'm very, very disappointed with a lot of the city council members that didn't support a business improvement district, because here we are 2 years later and not one tenant has moved on Main Street. So that tells you, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What? Now, we had some support, but not enough to get this over the finish line. And we didn't have enough discussion about what needs to be happening to entice and incentivize businesses to open up an art gallery, a restaurant, a boutique, a gift shop, anything. We have no commerce on Main Street right now.
None.
You think about it.
I mean,
we have our sneaker guy.
Can you
Rock
even,
City
and I'm
Kids.
dead serious.
What's that?
I don't even, can you even, and I really don't know the answer to this. Can you at this point in time buy a donut on Main Street? I don't think you can.
No.
I mean, a bagel, like nothing.
There's nothing. You can get down to the East End. I think Dunkin' Donuts closed down there. We had Starbucks. They closed. Now they're opening it up at
HSBC,
just
five
a
star.
five-star
yeah.
building. But it's hard. It's hard. We have a lot of people that love to walk. They come out of our building at Metropolitan. They don't go Main Street. They turn south and walk Innovation Square, Martin Luther King, in Washington Square Park.
Midtown. I mean, what's happening at Midtown? There's some really great stuff there. Yeah.
You walk that way. You don't walk Main Street. Why?
Two
You got to
questions.
change that.
Why is it so difficult for Rochester? Because this has been the debate forever, right? How do we get people downtown? And it's been a battle. The second part is, does this happen in other cities? Are they experiencing this slog to make it happen?
Well, it's leadership and it's investment. Some of these folks on city council, oh, this is great. It's all organic growth. Let me tell you something. I've been doing this a long time. You need to incentivize people to change behavior, right?
Yep.
What can I do to incentivize you to open up your dream of having a taco shop on Main Street, or an art gallery?
Yeah,
what
right.
could we do? Well, right now, it's not clean. It's not, the parking is tough. We've got a number of issues that are pending, that are what I would say barriers to really making that move. How do we remove those barriers, right? How do we incentivize people? Well, there's a couple things we can do. Number one, I've proposed with the county executive to make a sales tax-free zone.
Love that. That's a great idea.
We're not getting any tax revenue right now,
That's
right?
right, exactly.
So, I mean,
Right, it's not gonna hurt.
It's like,
Really low risk.
excuse me, how much are we getting now? And maybe that.
Well, pardon me, because I want you to go back to what you're saying, but if we're shy 18,000 housing units here in Monroe County, downtown is the obvious place for us to be putting people, but what comes first? And so, can you say whether or not Adam is supportive of this tax-free?
Well, we talk about it.
Okay,
and, I'm
good.
not gonna, but yeah, we're always looking at options. I don't
Yeah.
wanna, that's just one of the many ideas. We have a fund that ESL and the Ferris Foundation's putting up $50,000 per year for tenant improvement grants. That's big.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
that's an incentive. So you say, okay, I'm gonna, open a little whatever here. Geez, I can get 50 grand and I can get no sales tax. That gives me an advantage over someone down the street that's
Sure.
gotta pay sales tax. And someone that doesn't have that ability to put that equity into a restaurant or something. So we're trying to think about how to do that. Now, the one mechanism that we do have right now is a downtown enhancement district. That's controlled by the city. That was established in 1986 to support street improvements along Main Street. And all the property owners pay into that fund. The budget for that is about $600,000. We have 8 full-time employees, some equipment and stuff, and they're city employees that clean Main Street and do some things, and they're the ones that put up the Christmas decorations
Okay.
or plant the flowers. Well, what we've got is we've got a little extra money, and starting within 2 weeks, we will be planting flowers in all the flower beds
Great.
up and down Main Street from Liberty Pole all the way to Plymouth Avenue.
That's great. That's awesome.
We were doing this ourselves in front of our properties for a couple of years, but it was just, it doesn't make an impact if it's just a spot here. And so now, the whole street and part of the contract is to maintain it. So we have a landscape company that's got to plant and maintain, water it, weed, and we hope that's got to make a big difference. It just, from walking down the street.
Okay. So you're probably not familiar with something called the Rump Group, are you? Okay. Back in probably the late 80s, was it Snyder? Somebody comes in from Buffalo, and he's going to build the Hyatt Regency in downtown Rochester. He gets halfway through, he erects the other girders go up, he erects the exoskeleton, and then literally like all you see is girders for 2-3 years. And it just sits there and it stalls. So was it Dutch? It was probably Dutch Summers who.
Dutch,
go ahead.
Tom Wilmot,
Karen.
Karen.
She ran for mayor.
Yeah.
She was with Wilmot.
But there's some folks that invested money in this group to finish the hotel. To your point, right?
Yeah.
And it was part of the Rump Group.
Yeah, and
but
so
it wasn't all of them. But
Karen Noble Hansen.
Karen Noble Hansen.
But business leaders came together to solve an eyesore in downtown Rochester. I'm literally just coming to this now. I'm nominating you. You should reconvene a Rump Group because until we get a density down there, and until we get Jet, who's opening up a few Dunkin' Donuts and others, and until we get the Floms, and until we get the Glazers, et cetera, everybody is opening a restaurant or a dry cleaners, a CVS. You get Danny, let's put in a little tiny store of some sort. And you know what? He might lose money initially, but he's such a philanthropist. And then we get you and the others just to put in more and more apartments. Shoot holes in that theory.
Been trying it for 10 years.
And?
Talk to Wegmans. Talk to all these individuals. Oh no, it's not what we do. We don't want to do that. We can't do that. We can't do that.
Did you propose it, though, as a collection of 20 business leaders coming together to create a Rump Group? Because individually, it's going to fail.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe it wasn't the right approach, but the problem is quite obvious that we need investment and we need to change the whole mindset. We're showing a law firm. We're showing it at a space. Oh, we can't come down. It's too dangerous. Well, I like to say, we have 3 things that are really killing us downtown: public safety.
Yep.
Public safety. And public safety.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable coming down, Corey, why would anyone come down?
Sure.
Mark Iacona is a good friend of mine. He said 2 years ago, when we were kind of in the midst of this spike and stuff, he says, I'm fielding calls about safety downtown for JS Fest I've never talked about before.
And just for those who don't know, Mark Iacona is one of 2 owners of the Rochester Jazz Fest.
Yeah. So he says it's hard, and sometimes I even feel it. I'm downtown, I'm around. Well, I think that's calmed down a little bit. We still have some nuisance crime downtown, but not too many serious. Most of the crimes we have right now that we're experiencing in our buildings are homelessness, guys and women that need help and bust in and break in and harass people and shake them down. So it's kind of this nuisance thing. I don't think we're getting in the downtown, up and down Main Street. I don't think we're getting really severe personal injury type crimes. The cars are still being stolen, but mostly in the outlying neighborhoods. They're not right off Main Street anymore.
Do they melt the bikes yet? Do they get the metal
Yeah,
from the dirt bikes?
Yeah, all the money that we're making off that, we get the but they're doing that. They're destroying bikes.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. I talked to the chief about this. I said, why should I talk about that for a moment?
Please.
You know where they are. You got 100 guys, mostly young teenage boys, but there's some women I don't want to categorize, but they're on dirt bikes, no helmets, no license. They're coming down Main Street. They gather as far as East Avenue up where, near Culver in that area, and they all gather. It's all, social media. Oh, and they keep going in, and they're going down. I said, Chief, you know where they're going. He says, we are very afraid of that because what happens, you start getting in their way, they're on the sidewalks, they're gonna hurt somebody, and I know somebody that got run over. I said, okay, I'll pass on that. But what they are doing is we now have some drones.
Oh, great.
And license readers, although if they don't have licenses,
Sure,
it's
yeah.
hard, but they can track some people have been taking that footage, and then the police are going to those homes.
Yeah, if you know where
because
they are.
they'll watch them. Where do you go after things break up?
Yep.
And that's where they've been successful. So they're thinking next step, how do we get ahead of this? How do we break this cycle? Because it's a problem.
That and of course, bail reform legislation. I mean, that's just, that's just.
Like, how frustrating must it be to be a police officer and you're catching the same people on a weekly basis? It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
It's yeah.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so you wake up on the 10th of November in some distant year. Because this is not meant to be. Let me rephrase all this. You suddenly wake up one day and you're mayor of the city of Rochester. What's the first thing that you do to enhance what it is that's playing out in downtown Rochester? What's the first thing that you do?
I suggested to Malik that we need to double and triple grants for tenant improvement type
Okay.
of things. We need to really try to accelerate the approval and the training of police officers, or have a second-tier system where we put people on the street that don't have weapons, but are city security. Now, you can do that in a heartbeat. City council won't have any of that, too many police, too many security, and that's why in our whole initiative.
Pardon me. Thank you, Mary Lupin.
Yeah, Mary and Stanley Martin.
I mean, like, you folks, you think you're doing a great job?
No, they're
You should be
crushing us.
ashamed of yourselves. This city is falling apart because of you.
Of you, and all the growth will be organic, and this is great. We have a candidate, Kelly Cheadle. She's horrendous. That's what she's talking about. It's ridiculous.
You want to save lives? Make for a cleaner, safer downtown
Safer.
Rochester, and provide opportunity. But stop with the bleeding heart bullshit. We're done with it. We're tired. We're exhausted by you.
Right, we're way past that. This is real life.
Sorry,
because
Corey.
people are failing. People are failing, and they can't sustain themselves. We don't have enough job growth downtown in the core, but we'll have programs. We'll lend you money, but you have to have employment from these neighborhoods. It's hard. I was part of a presentation, and I'll tell you when Dado first came in, and we had some other companies.
You have to explain what Dado is.
Dado is a high-tech cybersecurity company coming from out of town. This is the real growth we need. Out-of-town companies that bring new jobs, not moving from one to another. And they're talking about making them hire certain people from certain areas. And the comment is like, sure, can they code? Can they do it? We can't take...
Do they have the qualifications for the job?
Yeah, there's got to be a certain level of competency for our hires. How do I agree to that when I don't know what your employment pool is and what? So it's just counterproductive, because I know another company that was so turned off by those requirements. They don't say, "Hi, how are you? We'd love to have you," and this, and they said, "Oh, this is great. If we're going to help you, this is what we need." See you later.
It's just
They
shooting
move-
yourselves in the foot
they
over and
move
over
to
again.
Victor. That's what's happening, and you got to stop this. You got to stop it.
Could not agree with you more. And for those who don't know Andy, I mean, you're a very, very smart businessman, and yes, you're saying what it is. But you're also, based on your comments just now, people are probably assuming, oh, Andy Gallina's probably like some right-wing activist of some sort, which is just the opposite, because you really are. You don't lean hard left, you don't lean hard right. You're simply pragmatic. And I know you personally, and I know your heart, and I know your concern for the underdog. This is not about oppressing the underdog. This is about creating opportunity and to find ourselves continually stymied by the politics that are playing out on city council is just
I
outrageous.
appreciate that. Never in my life or my career that I would believe that I would be attacked by the progressive side of the Democratic Party. I mean, I've been Democratic supporter and voter all my life, but I am fiscally conscious. Let's make sure our finances, because that's sustainability. But these folks are just not realistic about how to move the city forward, or our society, or anything. You've got to be realistic.
Just think about the analogy of if you have like a health issue, and if your mentality is, oh, we'll just let it fix itself organically. When does that ever play out positively? Never.
No, it's very challenging. So we have some real problems, challenges. I don't like to use the word problem because they're challenges. Because with challenges, you have to look for solutions. And that's what we're lacking right now in our leadership. I need solutions. Mary, Kelly, all these people, all they talk, they've got no solutions. She's never voted for a substantive bill that she started. It was just tacking on somebody else, She's in the East District. She represents me, represents most of downtown. She is not present. That's got to stop.
Yeah.
To be successful, you need to be present. You need to be around with people, encourage people.
And you need to be pragmatic. And
Right.
And stop with the bubble that you're living in. I mean, I think that she honestly, truly believes that she's doing the right thing. If only she were to look in the mirror and just analytically look at the problem. She's just continually making the problem worse for those that she feels as though she's trying to help. It's just awful.
So getting back to some of this leadership issue, I'm a big supporter of Malik. I talk to him all the time, and he's frustrated in many ways. He would like to move the needle much faster and much more significantly.
Then why doesn't he?
Because he has trouble getting support from city council.
Okay, so
And that's, the ambassador program should have been a no-brainer. The city, the county was coming up with money. We had private money. All we needed was $100,000 from the city on a $600,000 budget. That's a pretty good leverage. I had it all teed up. No, we don't think we can. We don't want people on the street. It's more policing. It was a ridiculous argument. So he faltered on it. He couldn't get it done. He was out there saying, I support the bid, I support the ambassador program. Unfortunately, the path is through city council.
And again, as a friend and with
Yes.
enormous respect.
Let me know.
So if he, from my perspective, he could demonstrate greater leadership by going out on a limb and saying, here are my candidates, and actively, not just passively, but actively raising money and making the case for the electorate to vote for those members of city council who are actually going to vote in favor of so many of the proposals that you're bringing to us this afternoon.
It's exactly what's happening right now. There's a slate of candidates right now. You don't get the city mailings, but if you're in the city, you get mailings. Malik just put out one of the usual political, but if you look in the backside, it was all the candidates.
So who are the candidates? Actually, this is a great opportunity. Who are the candidates that you would encourage us to vote for?
Josie McClary.
Okay.
Niner Davis. She's a younger person involved in real estate.
I've heard great things about her.
Yeah, have you?
Actually, Niner's a real estate agent, isn't she?
She's an agent, young woman, a friend of landlords, and understands the challenges. So that's the other crazy thing. Well, let me go through the slate for Chandra. She's got a hyphen. I'm so sorry. I forgot.
No, that's
her
okay.
name. But
There can't be that many Chandras on the ballot, so
and then
yeah.
of course Mitch Miguel.
Okay, good.
Mitch Gruber Miguel. Am I forgetting anyone? But you know, if we get those folks in and replace a couple of the very progressive, we will have balance and we will be able to get some of this stuff.
So how many
passed.
seats? How many seats need to flip in order?
We need 2 flips.
How many?
2.
Two.
If we flip, take
Okay.
2 away and add 2.
Doable. Doable, yeah. Okay,
And
you know
we
what?
think it's doable. So
I'm looking you in the eye. Actually, the primary is coming up in just
the
a few
primary's
weeks.
coming up, and I'll give you a pitch. We're hosting a
just gonna
fundraiser
ask.
for the mayor on May 29th at Privé, top
Okay.
floor. And I've encouraged anyone to please contribute to either the mayor's campaign, or if you've contributed to any of the candidates' campaigns, please come as our guest, because all the candidates will be there and they'll have an opportunity to say a few words.
You know what?
And then also in casual conversation, hey, Niner, what's going on with this thing? Right? You can talk to them offline too.
You said
so
this
it's
is
a
May
great
29th?
opportunity. What?
May 29th, is that what you said?
May 29th at Privé, yeah.
Okay, and tell us what that is, because I wanted, this is a perfect segue.
Privé is the 26th floor, a unit on the 26th floor of the Metropolitan. It's the top floor. There are 4 units up there, 3 are occupied. We built out as very larger custom units for individuals. We kept 1 unit that's about up to 4,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
It's a big living room, kitchen. We have a prep kitchen as well, a catering kitchen off with that, and it's basically a 3-bedroom unit. So it functions as an event space, but also as a high-end a place for, let's talk about maybe the A-listers that come to town, or if business people want to close a deal. You come to the top and say, this is my city, I want you here. And we've talked to the mayor, I've talked to Adam about it. How do we do that? I've talked to Bob Duffy. At any time, you want to bring somebody up there, let's do something. You should do one of your private dinners that you do up there. It's cool. We get the private chef. It's fun.
And I'm going there. I'm going to try and get the entire team to go there. David Carpenter, who was with the convention center for years, and I'm not sure if you know David Carpenter, but he's incredibly talented, an incredibly nice human being.
Great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And so we're in contact, and I would very, very much like to tour
love to.
and with our videographer in tow and just promote this thing because it's spectacular.
Anytime. It's the kids developed this, and this was a void in our marketplace. If you want to bring higher level entertainers or corporate folks or political people that come to town, we don't have that high level
Well, now we do.
place.
Yeah.
And now we do. I mean, the mayor even said, he was standing there and looking out over the, it was the master bedroom. We have a freestanding tub overlooking west.
great, yeah.
And he says, oh man, this is unbelievable. He says, but the point is, I go to other cities, sister cities and this and that. I'm wined and dined. I struggle where to bring people when I bring them downtown, because I want to be downtown.
Sure, yeah.
And I struggle. We'll be using this.
But
And I bring that to everyone's attention, not only from a selfish standpoint, but use it as leverage. Close your deal up there, you know? Bring some people in and say, this is why you should be in Rochester. Look, here we go. You can see. From that vantage point, you see down the river, you see the lake, you see the airport, you see the University of Rochester. You guys got to come up and understand what I'm talking about, because it's a place where you can really show off Rochester. And we want to do that in such a way to be productive, not only self-serving, but productive. We're doing a number of events, nonprofits and stuff, but it's always trying to leverage for the right reason.
Okay, we will definitely work with David,
please
yeah,
do that.
and make sure that happens. And then we're also going to include in any of the notes that are attached to the publication of this podcast, we're going to include, it's the 29th, which is the last Thursday of this month.
Yes.
It's downtown in the Metropolitan, and it starts, I would imagine, what, 5:30?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so
Do you have the invitation yet?
nope.
Okay. It
Nope,
was
I
a
just
whole
got it.
second round was going around, so you should be on that list. I don't know why you're not, but I'll make sure you get that this afternoon
That's terrific, and we'll be there.
and then distribute. And I invite everybody because it's not always about just how much money you're giving. I want to get this conversation going about why we need these candidates elected.
Love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's where our focus is.
Corey, how much time do we have, bud?
A little bit of time. I've got a question.
All right.
Again, we've talked about, vision and looking into the future. 10 years from now, if you could paint the picture and it all goes, you get the people you need in place, what does it look like for Rochester? What's the dream, more or less?
You know Canandaigua.
I live there, yeah.
You drive up and down. There's stores. I was there last week. I think I saw one vacant storefront.
Yep.
Fairport.
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 My son-in-law's in Medina. They have a cute little functional downtown.
Sure.
Can,
East Rochester.
we should
Right.
have that. We should have that environment on our main street. And don't tell me about parking and this and that. Canandaigua's just got one line of parking on both sides. It's got the same sort of thing.
Parking was
Why
never,
don't we?
never an issue for the decades in which you could
Exactly.
go to Roz Goldman's gallery, or you could have a dinner at any number of a different. Parking was
Never a problem. Yeah.
Never a problem. So that's not the problem.
I
It's,
can
it's
help.
everything else.
I can help. Get rid of the meters. Get rid of the meters. You want people to come to your city. Get rid of the freaking meters.
Or just ignore them as
No.
I do.
No, but
Mark just parks in the median.
in all seriousness,
Yeah.
those meters went up. Is a replacement for another program, and the city, in their ultimate wisdom, about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe it was during the lovely Warren, they had meters and paid parking up until 8 o'clock at night. No, you're going to come to the restaurant at Barbanum or this or that, and you got to get up and go change and add. No.
That? How about?
Stop that.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, let's make it all free all day. Like, no. Understand parking theory.
Sure.
Free parking on Main Street doesn't work all day. After 6 o'clock, it works because you're having dinner, you're doing something. But during hours of where commerce is being conducted, where people are in and out, you have to have turnover.
Yeah.
You can't have a guy that coming into the office at 7 o'clock, parking on Main Street and having that spot all day long.
Yeah.
So you have to have some thought. There's case studies all over the country about best practices, right? So think about that. They're a pain in the butt. I agree.
I mean,
They're a pain in the butt.
as
But
much fun as
still,
it was to download the app and figure out how to work it,
I
and
get
5
it,
minutes
I get
later.
it.
Yeah.
If you want to do away with parking on Main, that may work. But what you fall into is people parking there all day long.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, that
So
is
that's part
true.
of the
Okay.
strategy that if you don't do that, Corey, you're not going to get turnover. And we don't want office workers parking there for 6 hours or 8 hours. That's so there's thought gone into this. I've had conversations a long time, and myself and a group of people were really upset when they extended that to 8 o'clock. I said, "You're killing us. Don't do that. Just do not get rid of that."
Yeah.
I had the attorney at the time get up and walk out. He says, "You're never happy. We can never." I said, "Okay,
It's not a huge request.
just think about what you're saying. Think about it.
Oh, goodness.
There's a reason why."
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's where we go.
All right, just a few questions, rapid fire.
Yes.
Just to conclude things. One building in downtown Rochester that you think should just come down. A few sticks of dynamite just should. Is there a building that comes to mind?
Yeah, the Richford building should come down.
Which one's that?
That's the one that the face fell off and the city had.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
asbestos
Right near the
falling
old
in.
Greyhound station?
No, it's right to the east of Midtown.
Yeah, it wasn't Greyhound. What was the other bus station? There was, remember that
It was,
building?
okay, yeah, I know it. DMV was in there 30
Yeah,
years
right,
ago.
exactly.
That building-
Yeah.
Building's in rough shape.
Right next to the Cadillac Hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Cadillac, they've got a group that's gonna do it. More power to you. Let's do it.
I'm sure you
I'm
walked
fine.
through that one. Dear God, no.
Well, Dave Andreatta wrote an article about it.
Oh, that's right. He did. I forgot. Yeah, exactly.
Tough.
Okay.
But sometimes you throw enough money at it, it works. And I'll give you an example of Maine and Clinton. Thank God for Brett and Nelson Leanhouse doing that project, because otherwise it should just come down.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they're throwing a lot of money, more money than should be thrown at
Are you
it.
going to miss the wig shop as much as I am?
Well, it was like it's so important in our downtown
And this is
history. Come on, man.
This is one of the many reasons people think I'm an asshole.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, it's time. Move on. And I would have liked to
That's
see
actually looking very, very, very nice.
it's got it. The next thing is the hotel along the river. Angelo Ingrassi.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know. I spoke with him the other day. He's a year away. I don't
Is
know
it going to
why.
stay pink? Are you going to go the different color?
Probably. I have no idea.
Yeah, but that's
You
nice.
take that one.
Yeah.
You call him.
All right, last question for me, and then we'll turn it over to Corey if he's got any lingering. Is there a project that you turned down at one point in time in your career, and you look back, you're like, dang, I should have actually pursued that.
Did a couple, maybe I shouldn't have.
There we go.
But
Live and learn, right?
I don't know. I don't have regrets about things.
Yeah. You're not a regret.
We have a way of digging in and just executing. Just
Well, and you
let's
learn
figure
from it,
out,
right?
And you learn, you figure out how to do it, and you know, it's all in the execution. You know, I'll give you one story. When we did the student housing conversions, phase 1 of 5 floors, phase 2 is 5. You know, so we did that. We had a 20% increase in construction costs during COVID between phase 1 and phase 2. Another 12% between phase 2 and phase 3. How do I recover that when I'm quoting rates to the universities and to students?
Yeah.
Hard. That's why these projects, and everybody's, oh, you paid so little for the building, you did this. Tough work.
Yeah,
It's hard work.
Yeah, you
So
did
those are the
pay little
types of
for the
things.
building, but dear God, I mean, the expense to renovate it and retrofit it, just insane.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's all I have. I want to say thank you, because again, it's not easy, as we've alluded to throughout this entire podcast, but the fact that you are digging in and trying to make it happen, and I'm optimistic that it can. Mark, maybe a little less optimistic, but
We have to
I'm
remain
feeling more optimistic
After
having
this?
sat here with seriously, I really am,
you
Andy.
need to
Thank you.
remain optimistic because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So thank you. Refreshing, also refreshingly forthright. Thank you so much for your unadulterated comments. We really, really appreciate it. Seriously, just awesome.
I have lots of other great stuff to get to too, but I've got a showing in 20 minutes, so I got to roll.
Oh, okay, great.
So we'll wrap.
All right, so wrap it up, bud.
Yeah.
Get us out of here.
Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.